12 voices, gone, not from age, not from illness, murdered in cold blood, and the people responsible, they walked free. Some are still walking free right now. These weren't random victims. These were the architects of R&B and soul music. People whose voices shaped generations. And when they died, the investigations quietly died with them. No convictions, no justice, no answers. Tonight, we're reopening every single case because somebody knows what really happened. Stay with us until the end, because number 1 will shake you to your core.
Where you were coming from.
Number 12, Sam Cooke, December 11th, 1964. Los Angeles, California.
Everybody's still all right. Would you put
Sam Cooke, the man they called the King of Soul, checked into the Hacienda Motel alone.
your hands together for me? Go on. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
He was 33 years old, at the height of his powers. His label was thriving, his voice was untouchable.
Oh, yeah. Up there. Put your hands together if you feel all right.
And he had just released A Change Is Gonna Come, a song so powerful, the FBI had an open file on him. By 3 a.m., he was dead.
All right for me, huh? Yeah. Oh!
The official story was this. Bertha Franklin, the motel manager, shot him in self-defense after he allegedly broke into her office in a rage.
Twisting the night away.
He was found with only a sport coat on. The woman he'd checked in with, a woman named Elisa Boyer, had vanished into the night with his clothes and his wallet.
And it goes like this. All you got to do is go.
She later became a convicted criminal. The motel manager, never charged. The case closed in days. But here's what the investigators glossed over. Sam Cooke had powerful enemies. He had recently left RCA's control to build his own independent label. He was financially independent in an era when the music industry did not want black artists to be financially independent. He was meeting with Malcolm X. He was funding civil rights organizations. Three witnesses said his injuries were inconsistent with the struggle described. His family never accepted the story. His friend Muhammad Ali said, and these are his words, they killed him. No charges were ever filed. The case remains officially closed. But the questions, they've never stopped. Number 11, Marvin Gaye. April 1st, 1984, one day before his 45th birthday. Marvin Gaye was shot and killed by his own father inside their family home in Los Angeles. That sentence alone should stop you cold. Marvin Gaye Sr. fired 2 shots. The first bullet was fatal. The second was fired after Marvin was already on the ground. His father told police it was an argument that escalated. He was charged with first-degree murder. Then, less than 1 month later, doctors discovered that Marvin Gaye Sr. had a brain tumor. The charge was reduced to voluntary manslaughter. He received a suspended sentence, probation only. He never spent a single day in prison for killing his son. But here's the layer that history tends to skip. In the weeks before his death, Marvin had told multiple people he was afraid. And he had returned home after a drug-fueled collapse on tour in England, not because he wanted to, but allegedly because he had nowhere else to go. Friends say he seemed like a man who had given up, a man who felt trapped. And the gun. The gun Marvin Gaye Sr. used had been a Christmas gift given to him just months earlier by Marvin Whether that detail means something dark or simply tragic is something only they knew.
Oh, baby, let me get it on with you.
What's undeniable is this: a man whose music defined a generation died at the hands of his own father.
Right now. Wait a minute, baby, wait a minute.
And that father served no prison time. Whatever the full truth is, justice was never truly served.
Let me turn the music down a little bit low.
Quick question, are you subscribed? If not, you're part of the 99% who watch and disappear. Here's the problem: YouTube won't show you our next video unless you subscribe. So if you want more untold music stories like this, hit that button right now. 2 seconds, do it before you forget.
Number 10, Phyllis Hyman. June 30th, 1995, New York City.
You told me you loved me.
Hours before she was scheduled to perform at the Apollo Theater,
You used me once too much.
Phyllis Hyman was found dead in her apartment from a deliberate overdose of pentobarbital and secobarbital prescription sleeping pills.
I'm in so much pain.
She left a note. It read simply, "I'm tired. I'm tired."
Here I am again.
Now this is listed as a suicide, and we say that with complete respect to her memory and her pain.
Trust is a hard thing to come.
But what makes Phyllis Hyman's story fit this conversation is the stunning and almost criminal negligence of an industry that watched her suffer for years and did nothing. Phyllis Hyman had one of the greatest voices in the history of R&B. Powerful, cinematic, devastating. She should have been a superstar at the level of Whitney Houston.
Got me spinning around.
Many in the industry believed she was more talented, but she was repeatedly mismanaged, mismarketed and abandoned.
I wish I knew where you would come.
She battled bipolar disorder in an era when mental illness in black women was stigmatized into silence.
Coming from. You told me you
She spoke openly about her depression. She spoke openly about being exploited. People around her heard it. The industry heard it.
loved me. I thought I was your only one.
And they booked her for more shows, pushed her for more product, and cashed more checks.
Seems like I'm born.
She was 45 years old. The same system that should have protected her failed her completely.
Always going for changes.
Nobody was charged. Nobody was held responsible. Because when the industry kills you slowly, it's not a crime.
Living in confusion.
And that might be the most haunting truth on this entire list.
Coming from.
Number 9, Bobby Fuller, July 18th, 1966. Los Angeles. Bobby Fuller was 23 years old and on the verge of becoming one of the biggest names in American rock and soul music. His song, "I Fought the Law," was a smash. He was handsome, talented, and ambitious. And then he was found dead in his car outside his apartment, soaked in gasoline. The Los Angeles Police Department ruled it a suicide within hours. Within hours, despite the fact that there was no suicide note. Despite the fact that witnesses said he seemed in good spirits the night before. Despite the fact that the gasoline appeared to have been poured on him, not by him. His family immediately disputed the ruling. They said Bobby had been receiving threats. They said people connected to organized crime, including figures tied to the mob-influenced music industry of the 1960s, had been pressuring him. Bobby Fuller had refused to play ball. He wanted to control his own music, his own career. The case was never seriously reinvestigated. The LAPD's initial ruling stood. No charges, No suspects, no justice. To this day, Bobby Fuller's death is one of the most controversial unsolved cases in music history. Some researchers have spent decades trying to reopen it. All of them hit the same wall. In 1966, if the right people wanted a case closed, it stayed closed. Number 8. Lisa Left Eye, Lopes, April 25, 2002. Honduras, TLC was one of the best-selling female groups of all time. And Lisa Lopes, the wildest, most electric creative force in the group, died in a car crash on a remote road while filming a personal documentary.
It was 6 a.m., but it hit the road, hit the road, hit the road.
The official cause, a traffic accident. She swerved to avoid another vehicle and lost control. Simple, tragic. Closed, except Lisa herself had been documenting something strange in the days before she died. She believed a dark energy was following her. She spoke about death on camera openly, repeatedly in ways that disturbed the people around her. She had told her team she felt like something was coming for her. 9 days before her crash, another vehicle had gone off the same road in nearly the same spot carrying members of her group. Nobody died that time. And here is what makes people never fully let this go. The documentary footage from the trip captured the accident itself because the cameras were rolling. That footage exists. It has never been fully released to the public. Was it an accident? Almost certainly. But the pattern of events, the premonitions, the earlier near miss, the unreleased footage has kept this case alive in the minds of people who loved her for more than 2 decades. She was 30 years old, and the world will never know what she would have become. Number 7. Al Wilson. Al Wilson sang one of the most beautiful songs in soul music history, Show and Tell. It hit number 1 in 1974. His voice was warm, rich, deeply human. And then the industry moved on without him, the way the industry always moves on. But Al Wilson's death in 2008 isn't the murder we're talking about here. We're talking about what happened to him years before, the slow erasure of a man who never got what he was owed. In the early years of his career, Al Wilson was signed to contracts that stripped him of his royalties. His music generated millions. He saw almost none of it.
See, I'm trying to show love is right.
As the decades passed and streaming brought renewed attention to Show and Tell, the checks went to the label, not to him.
Oh, show and tell, just a...
He died of kidney failure at 68 with almost nothing to his name.
So decide. Oh, show...
This is the murder that doesn't make the evening news. The murder of a legacy. The murder of financial security. The murder of dignity.
and tell, just a game I play when I
Done through contracts written by lawyers for labels that knew exactly what they were doing.
wanna say, oh, I love you.
And Al Wilson is not alone on this list. He is representative of dozens, perhaps hundreds of soul and R&B artists
Play when I wanna say, I love you, I love
from the 1960s and 70s who were systematically robbed of their earnings through legal structures that were, in every meaningful moral sense, theft.
you, I love you, I love you, and you know I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it.
No charges were ever filed. They never are, because this kind of murder is perfectly legal.
Baby, show and tell. Yeah.
Number 6. Otis Redding, December 10th, 1967. Madison loved him, have never fully accepted it. He was 26 years old, and the world will never know what he would have said next. Number 5. Jackie Wilson. September 29th, 1975. Latin Casino, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Jackie Wilson, Mr. Excitement, collapsed on stage mid-performance while singing Lonely Teardrops. He was 41 years old. He hit the floor, struck his head on the stage, and slipped into a coma. He never fully regained consciousness. He spent the next 8 years in a vegetative state in a New Jersey nursing home. He died on January 21st, 1984. Now here is where this becomes something beyond tragedy. While Jackie Wilson lay unconscious and unable to speak for himself, the people around him, the managers, the label, the industry that had profited from him for 2 decades, systematically stripped everything from him. His royalties disappeared. His publishing rights were signed away. His estate was left with almost nothing. And the people legally positioned to act in his interest chose instead to act in their own. Jackie Wilson had been one of the most exploited artists in R&B history, even before his collapse. His manager for years had been connected to organized crime. His contracts were structured to ensure he saw almost nothing from record sales that made millions. He performed constantly, not because he chose to, but because performing was the only way he could access any money at all. The concerts were cash, the records were someone else's. By the time he died, the man who influenced Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley, and virtually every performer who came after him had nothing. No justice, no accountability, no one charged, just silence, the same silence that had followed him his entire career. Number 4. Aaliyah, August 25th, 2001. The Bahamas. Aaliyah Dana Horton was 22 years old. She had just finished filming the music video for Rock the Boat. She and her team boarded a small Cessna 402 aircraft for the flight back to Miami. The plane crashed moments after takeoff and killed everyone on board. The official cause, the plane was overloaded.
Won't you pick me up at the park right now?
The pilot Blackwood had a blood alcohol level over the legal limit and had traces of cocaine in his system.
Up the block now, everyone sleep.
He was not licensed to fly that type of aircraft. That alone is criminal.
I'll be waiting there with my trips, my looks, my hat.
But here is where accountability completely collapsed. The charter company Black Hawk International Airways had a history of safety violations. The FAA had flagged them before. They were allowed to continue operating. When investigators examined the loading manifest, it appeared the weight had been falsified, meaning someone on the ground knew the plane was too heavy and approved the flight anyway.
That's good. I've been holding back this.
No criminal charges were ever filed against anyone at Black Hawk International. The company folded quietly. Aaliyah's family received a civil settlement, and one of the most gifted young artists of her generation, a woman whose impact on R&B, fashion and culture is still being felt today, died because a chain of negligent, possibly criminal decisions was made and nobody was ever held responsible. 23 years later, her music still isn't fully available on streaming platforms due to legal disputes. Even in death, someone is still making money off Aaliyah, and she still isn't at peace. Number 3, Nick Ashford. We pause here to honor a man whose story represents a different kind of injustice. One that is quieter, slower, and in many ways more insidious than a bullet. Nick Ashford of Ashford and Simpson died of throat cancer in 2011. He was 70 years old, and while his death from illness is not disputed, the story of what Ashford and Simpson and songwriters like them endured across decades of the music industry is a murder of legacy that demands to be named. Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson wrote some of the greatest songs in soul history. Ain't No Mountain High Enough, Reach Out and Touch, You're All I Need to Get By. These songs generated hundreds of millions of dollars across decades of recording, licensing, film, and television. The couple fought their entire careers to maintain ownership of their catalog. They were among the rare few who partially succeeded. But the systemic exploitation of black songwriters throughout the Motown era and beyond through work-for-hire contracts, rights grabs and publishing theft robbed entire generations of artists of generational wealth.
That's what we've got.
The people who drafted those contracts are still lionized in industry history books. The artists who signed them because they had no other choice are remembered for their music, but rarely for their poverty. This is not an accident, it is a system. And systems don't get charged with murder even when that's exactly what they commit.
That's what this love is.
Number 2, Donny Hathaway, January 13th, 1979. New York City, Donny Hathaway, one of the most gifted musicians who ever lived, fell from a 15th floor window at the Essex House Hotel and died on impact on the street below. He was 33 years old. The medical examiner ruled it a suicide. But the circumstances then and now have never sat right with the people who knew him, loved him, or studied his life. Here is what we know. Donny Hathaway had been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and had been hospitalized several times. He had struggled deeply. His illness was real and documented. But in the days before his death, multiple people who spoke with him said he seemed better, calmer. He had been in the studio. He was recording again.
Take a good look at yourself.
The window through which he fell, or from which he jumped, was found to have its glass removed. Not broken, arch removed.
You can look at others differently.
The glass was found stacked neatly to the side. That detail has never been adequately explained. Removing window glass while in a suicidal state is not a behavior pattern consistent with what we know about how these tragedies typically unfold.
When I'm down on my knees.
His daughter, Kenya Hathaway, has spent years calling for re-investigation. She does not believe her father died by suicide.
Hey, close to heaven.
Many who have examined the case agree the evidence is at minimum inconclusive.
My daddy lived a life.
Was Donny Hathaway murdered? We cannot say that with certainty, but we can say with certainty that the investigation was nowhere near thorough enough to close the case as definitively as they did. And a man of his genius deserved better than that. Number 1. Curtis Mayfield.
It's a new day.
August 13th, 1990. Wingate Field, Brooklyn, New York.
It's a new day.
Curtis Mayfield, the architect of conscious soul music, the man behind People Get Ready, Move On Up, Superfly,
It's a new day.
and some of the most politically charged, spiritually essential music ever recorded, walked onto an outdoor stage for a benefit concert.
A brand new day. It's a new.
Before he could perform a single note, a lighting rig collapsed and fell directly onto him. He was paralyzed from the neck down. Instantly, permanently. He was 48 years old.
Nation in flux, and it's on the way.
He would spend the next 9 years of his life unable to move his body, unable to hold his guitar, unable to breathe without assistance while lying flat. He recorded his final album lying on his back, one verse at a time, because that was the only position in which he could breathe well enough to sing.
Look, we all witnessed the sweat rolling down.
Now, was this a murder? Legally, no. The collapse was ruled an accident. The event's production company faced civil liability.
And it can't be seen. The family become.
A settlement was reached. No criminal charges. No one went to prison. But here is why Curtis Mayfield belongs at number 1 on this list above everyone else.
Need the love, and that is coming home.
Because what was done to him after the accident is where the true crime lives. Curtis Mayfield spent his final decade in devastating physical condition.
Let us teach the children. Freedom's never been free.
While the music industry continued to profit enormously from his catalog. People Get Ready alone has been licensed thousands of times.
It's okay to cry. Go ahead.
His songs appear in films, commercials, television shows, and political campaigns to this day.
Cry. 'Cause Jesus wept, but hope and faith.
The infrastructure that controls his work generated and continues to generate millions.
Pure at heart, somehow might see. There's still.
He died in 1999 with his medical bills largely unpaid and his family in financial distress.
Change. It's a brand new day.
A man who gave the world some of its most transcendent music, who was rendered quadriplegic by a failure of basic safety,
A brand new day. It's a new day.
spent his last years in pain, in debt, and largely forgotten by the industry he had served.
Take the way. I'm living so hard, babe.
No one was ever held criminally responsible. Nobody went to jail.
Serving time in jail. It just.
The system took everything from Curtis Mayfield, first his body, then his peace, and called it an accident. We call it what it was.
The hunt is on, and brother, you're the prey.